Hello, everyone. Welcome. I think we're live.
I think we are. Hi there, Gina. How are you?
Hey, Courtney. Good. How have you been? How is the Cosmo school going?
I have been having the absolute best summer. Sorry if my glasses are blinding you. I'm blind, especially later in the day. But I've had the best summer being in cosmetology school. I think it should be illegal for somebody to have this much fun while in school.
I loved seeing your vlogs during it. I'm like, now I'm living vicariously through you because I secretly wish I could just do it all and also have a Cosmo license and do all the coaching.
Yes.
But I got to pick one. So I feel like I've landed where I need to be, but I'm excited to see your journey and I hope you do more vlogs.
I need to. Thank you for the encouragement.
Yes. Well, today we're going to be answering all of y'all's questions. We have a bunch of pre-submitted ones, and then you can always leave them in the chat. But I would love to hear what is in your hair right now. If you want to go ahead and put it in the chat. We were going to share what stylers we have in our hair right now. And it was funny because we ended up with the same thing in our hair.
We did not plan that. We did not.
No, we didn't
beforehand. But we did happen to play with the same exact product. Would you like to share what it is?
Yes. So this is the new Curlsmith Awestruck Definition Cream. This live has nothing to do with Curlsmith, by the way, but we just both happen to be in our testing phase before we film our reviews next week. So that's what's in my hair right now. I did a day 3 refresh today. Well, barely any refreshing, like just a little bit of water and it recasted, which is crazy. Wow. It's a curl cream that gave me a cast. No refresh yesterday. And I'm just really surprised. I honestly was not expecting to get any hold out of this. I'm a huge fan of gel only. I rarely use a cream and definitely rarely use just a cream. So I was actually really impressed, but I'm curious to hear what you think. What day are you on right now?
I'm on wash day. This is day 1. As somebody with wavy hair, gravity is real and it stretches out my hair. I have very fine hair, so there's not a lot of structure to it. So we'll see. We are testing how long this can hold because Curlsmith claims 3-day hold, and we're going to find out. I usually don't make it past day 2, if we're being honest. I mean, day 3 is a bun. But I'm surprised. It says it's a cream, but when you squeeze it out and you start rubbing it in your hands, it feels like a gel.
Yeah.
It applies like a gel. It's very moisturizing, yet has tons of hold. Does it remind you of any other products that you've ever used?
Yes, I was just about to say it reminds me of the Not Your Mother's Curl Talk cream, of how that feels. It has almost like that, not so much of a creamy feel. Like it doesn't turn white in your hands, which is a good thing because then that means it's not going to be too heavy either. It kind of has, I don't want to say waxy, but you can tell the holds there, which I want to feel in my hands.
I was trying to lead you to Jessie Curl Spiralicious because that's what it reminds me of. It reminds me of the Jessie Curl Spiralicious gel a lot.
Interesting. Okay.
Yeah.
This was more moisturizing for me than that one. That one surprisingly is a little drying on my hair, but it does give me great holds, which I know a lot of people say they don't get hold with it, but I get pretty strong hold with that. But this one, I was surprised. I was just doing an ingredients deep dive earlier, Googling what's in it. And there's a couple holding ingredients in it, a couple different things I haven't seen Curlsmith use yet. So I'm excited about that. We'll have a review, both of us. Mine will be up.
They're always coming out with really fun, interesting products.
Yeah. I'm hoping we get another gel this year. We'll see.
Yes, please.
I don't know. But I guess we should first do intros in case anyone's not already following us. Just give a little background, I guess, in case anyone's not already following our channels. But I'm Gina, make curly hair content. I like covering all different types of hair, but I wanted to get together with Courtney because she obviously has a different curl type to me. My hair is a little bit of a tighter curl. I definitely have more of coarse texture in some areas, more frizz prone, problematic type of hair. But I love hair science just like Courtney does. I love simplifying things. We're both very detail oriented with our content. I feel like it's very similar, but also different. And I also have a group curl coaching program, which has been really fun. So I get to help clients through that program. And we are currently enrolling for our fall program for that. So you get to work with me over the course of 3 months if you join. So you not only get those weekly group coaching calls with me, but also access to our private community, which is nice. You can message me anytime. So that's really been fun just to get to learn about all the different hair types. And I actually have quite a few Wavy members, which has been really fun to just learn about their experience and just see all the different curl types. So there's definitely a variety in the group, but I have learned a ton Like the majority of the videos I've been putting out have definitely been inspired by what all the struggles my members are going through. So that's been fun. So that's a little bit about me, but let's hear about you, Courtney, for those that aren't already following you.
Absolutely. I am Swavy Curly Courtney, aka Courtney, and I have fine, wavy, low porosity hair. My hair is insanely heavy, but it's very, very fine, and I have a lot of it. I started caring for my waves and curls back in 2018, not realizing that I did actually have curly hair. I was just testing out the curly girl method to see if I could make my hair curly. Turns out you cannot force curls where there are none naturally, but I did learn a whole lot about waves or S waves, thus Swavy Curly Courtney. I do have some curls, but the majority of my hair is S waves. This year, I actually enrolled in cosmetology school because I am dying to help people embrace the hair that they are fearfully and wonderfully made with. So my long-term goal is to actually open up a curly hair salon here in my hometown. I live in a tiny little town in West Texas. We have no curly hair salon, but we have a ton of people with curly hair. So I'm very excited to start helping people embrace their curls. I am currently taking students. Nope, not students. I don't have students. Well, I do have curl coaching students, but we do one-on-one sessions primarily over in my stuff. Gina does group curl coaching. I do one-on-ones, but I also am taking clients in cosmetology school. So if you are dying for a really cheap haircut, no promises that it'll be good because obviously I'm still learning, but if you need a cheap haircut, come see me in cosmetology school.
I would trust you to cut my hair, and I don't say that lightly.
Oh, thank you so much. I am very meticulous, and I don't.
Because you're detail-oriented like me.
Extremely. And I absolutely refuse to cut off more hair than the person is comfortable with. Even if it's good for the health of their hair, if they're not comfortable with losing it, I want them to feel more confident getting out of my chair than
it's so needed. We don't have curly salons here either. I'm in Virginia and I have to travel maybe 2 hours, and I just don't. I just get a regular haircut because I don't get anything drastic done. If I wanted to like change my shape or something, I would definitely go to a curl specialist, but I'll just get a regular trim, a regular wet cut, and it turns out okay. But sometimes I end up with some unevenness that I come home and clip because, you know, curls do have that uneven pattern to them. So because I get a wet cut, I come home sometimes with like a long piece in the back but it turns out okay.
Yeah. It's easy for you to find that curl and give it some love if it needs it.
Yes. Yeah. Well, I'm so excited for you. That's awesome. And maybe I'll get to Texas sometime to come visit.
That would be really, really cool.
So if you all want to go ahead and put your questions in the chat, I'm already seeing a bunch coming in. Definitely let us know your hair type as well. I have a couple of pre-submitted ones we can pull from, but go ahead and drop your questions in. Do you see any off the bat you want to go ahead and answer?
I am looking through and I see a lot of people sharing what they're using. AG Recoil and Liquid Effects. I've been loving using that on everybody who comes and sits in my chair. It's working really well for a very wide range of hair types. Yeah. So, Donna has Not Your Mother's Flash Freeze Gel in her hair. That's a really good one. Not Your Mother's Hard Hold Gel. Hi from Switzerland. Hey there, Christine.
I see a couple of my clients here. Thank you guys for joining and for the support.
We are so excited and honored that y'all are hanging out with us on this Friday. Y'all are giving up a Friday evening to say hi, and we're grateful for it.
Yeah.
If you do have a question that you really want answered, it is so helpful when you use that great big red question mark emoji in front of your question. It just kind of like highlights it in the chat so we absolutely don't miss it. But we did receive this question from Malia. I hope I said that right. She is asking what to do for a haircut. She does not have the funds to go somewhere and get it done professionally. Her husband helps her out and gives her a blunt cut, but she's really feeling like she needs some texture further up, closer to her face, get some weight off, and she's just wanting to know what to do. Now, there are many, many methods to do this. A couple of resources that I have used in the past. One is to just flip all your hair upside down. Use something called the Kriya clip. Basically, it's this giant clamp that pulls all your hair smooth so that you're getting an even haircut. P.S. This haircut works best on people with very uniform curl patterns. So if you don't have a super uniform curl pattern, take this recommendation with a grain of salt, please.
Is it done wet? Do you do that?
You can do it wet. You can do it dry. You can do it both. Take that Crea clip in your hair, pull all your hair forward, smooth it out, trim off the ends. That will give you a ton of layering, which will give you some shape. You might not love that. Another resource that is actually very, very good is Manes by Mel. She has multiple videos on her channel showing how to cut your hair at home. She is a professional curly hair stylist, and she's really great at explaining in detail how to get the result that you want. I did personally try the Wayne Tuggle haircut on my hair earlier this year. I have thoughts. I don't think I executed that haircut well. I think that haircut is extremely difficult to do well on yourself at home. I have seen people do it well on their own hair at home. I think my biggest mistake is I did not cut off even amounts of hair from the 4 sections that Wade talks about. I was really trying to cut off even sections, but I didn't. And so that did make the haircut pretty weird. But those are my thoughts on an at-home haircut if you don't have the finances to go sit in someone's chair and have them do it professionally.
Love it. I have not tried an at-home haircut. I'm too scared. Other than I will randomly just snip pieces when they start to get scraggly. I'm not afraid to do that, but I just don't trust myself. And then with a tighter curl pattern, like it just, I don't know. I feel like it has more room to be obvious. Maybe not.
Margin for error is great, like smaller. There you go. When your curls are tighter, your margin for error with the haircut gets smaller and smaller. Wavy hair may be more forgiving.
Yeah. Okay. So I see a question from Dana. I will put it up on the screen. She said, how do I keep my curls from falling, basically going straight? It's definitely something that I see a lot with my wavy clients and also looser curls as well. I definitely recommend reducing the moisture if you haven't already. So just using a good stronghold gel and look for something that has some texture and grit. So the Curlsmith fragrance-free stronghold gel always comes to mind for me to recommend. I promise this won't be a full Curlsmith live, but that one is a really good option for those of you who struggle with the hair getting very weighed down. It's the type of gel that does have that texture to it. You could also add in a hairspray. That's another way to get some texture, but I have definitely found that that helps prevent it from just falling. But Courtney, you experience this a lot more than me. So what are your thoughts?
Well, my first thought when I get people talking to me about this is, how long have you been embracing your waves and curls? Because curl memory is a real thing, especially with people with wavy or looser curl patterns. It takes a lot longer for our fine, delicate waves to remember their natural shape. They want to fall straight because we have been pulling them straight and flat ironing them straight and blow drying them straight for years and years and years and years. So if you have only been embracing your waves and curls for 6 months or less, give yourself a lot of grace. Your hair is remembering all of the straight hairstyling you used to do. You can use really hard hold gel. You can use spray leave-in conditioners. You can top it off with a nice curly hair friendly hairspray, or even a not curly hair friendly hairspray. I have been loving the Pacifica Big Waves hairspray. It smells so good. It does have a drying alcohol in it, but if you are on the wavier side of things and you're dealing with some over moisturization, that drying alcohol can be quite helpful. Yeah. So all of those were really great suggestions. Another gel that is drugstore sort of is the Giovanni LA Naturals gel. It has a very similar gritty texture feeling as the Curlsmith fragrance-free stronghold gel. So that's really, really good. Yeah. I did see a question from Jennifer right here asking, do I recommend a wet cut or a dry cut for fine, wavy, medium density hair? And the answer to that question is, it depends. If you have a really, really uniform wave pattern or curl pattern, meaning that like the tightness of your curls in the front of your hair are a similar tightness to the curls in the back of your head, you don't have one side that's more tighter waves and looser waves on the other side, a wet cut, don't tell the curly police, but a wet cut is just fine. because your waves are uniform. And then when it dries, it will dry even. But where a dry cut really, really, really comes in handy is for people who have differing curl patterns all over their head. Here's the thing. You can get a dry cut on straight hair, and if it's a really, really, really good dry cut, it will look good. It's easier to cut hair wet because when you comb it, it stays where you put it because the water's kind of help holding it in place. So it is easier from a technical side of things to cut hair when it's wet, but a really amazing hairstylist can cut hair both wet and dry on straight hair and curly hair. So the type of cut you're getting won't necessarily matter as much as the skill of the person giving it.
That's a great question. Yeah, I mean, I get a wet cut and it turns out fine for the most part.
Exactly.
Occasionally there's a straggler, but overall it turns out okay. We could get to one of the pre-submitted questions. If you're able to pull that one down.
There we go.
Awesome. So there was a question that asked, how do I brush style when using a gel with a high grit level? So I thought this would be a good follow-up because we were just talking about gels with grit. Mm-hmm. If you've ever used a gel with grit, it doesn't have the most slip, which is good because for people's hair who's overly soft, you need to counteract that with something that isn't as slippery. So if someone has very soft hair and they use a very slippery moisturizing gel, it's probably not going to hold up. So the gels with grit can really help with that. I've had some of my clients try brush styling without anything in their hair, especially for those that don't even need a leave-in. Like just do your styling, then scrunch in the gel. You're probably not going to get as much coverage of the gel, but that's okay as long as you make sure you really get in and scrunch. I typically brush my gels through because I like to coat every single hair, but that could definitely weigh down someone's hair that doesn't need quite as much coverage. So go ahead and just brush style. As long as your hair is detangled, if you're using a gel with grit, you probably already have some softness to your hair, so it's probably not going to snag or anything. But if it did, use a little bit of leave-in, something very lightweight, maybe a spray water-based leave-in, do your brush styling and then scrunch it in, or just make sure you have a lot of water. I still brush style with those gels in my hair and it's fine. It's probably not the best, but I'm just careful. I'm not putting too much tension. And I usually use something like the Tingle Teaser brush that's very flexible. Sometimes
do you really feel those gritty gels dragging and pulling more than some of the slippery gels, like the Weedad gel that's so slippery and nice?
Yes, that's the main difference is I feel more of that dragging, especially in areas of my hair that are more coarse. But usually I'm still able to brush style, but I do need more water than usual. So I don't usually brush style soaking wet, but I end up with more water on those wash days when I'm using that gel. So definitely emulsify it with some water in your hands when you're applying it. And you might be able to brush style, just be really careful.
Gina, I don't know how you brush all of your gels through your hair. There have been like one, maybe two gels that I have used out of the 400 curly hair products that I have tested out over the past 7 years that I can brush through my hair. There is something about the fine texture of my hair that cannot do brush styling with a gel in it. I can do it with a leave-in. I can do it with a curl cream, but I cannot brush style with a gel in my hair. So your tip of just glazing that gel over and really scrunching it in is absolutely critical. That is the key. You cannot brush style with super gritty gels. You brush style before, and then you glaze it over and scrunch it in. And if there's enough water in your hair, that water will act as the carrying agent for that really hard hold gritty gel. It will pull that gel inside each of your curl clumps. Just make sure you are glazing that gel everywhere. If you have one section of your hair that is getting kind of frizzy and undefined, 9 times out of 10, you did not like put the gel in that spot.
Yeah. It's funny because one of the main things that I've noticed from watching my clients actually style, because they get to submit videos or I get to watch them on our calls, is the product application is usually the biggest issue where people are not able to get it fully distributed. And they end up with frizz in certain areas. And sometimes it just takes a lot of scrunching with putting gel all over. Because a lot of times people will go in with a big glob and go right into their hair. And then it's all stuck right there. Yep. So more water, spreading it all over. And that's why I brush it through. But
it's the pulsing that really, really helps. The brushing through will give you even distribution always. But the enough water and really scrunching and pulsing, you're like swishing the gel around all over your head.
Yep.
Take a solid 5 minutes to scrunch, people. It'll do wonders.
Yes, that was another thing I noticed a lot of people were doing is waiting to scrunch or just scrunching with their towel. And I was like, if you scrunch with your hair wet, you're going to get a lot more curl. It's just those little things, that I end up noticing of like, wait, don't go to your towel yet. You haven't scrunched, and I would have never thought to explain that to people, when I'm doing videos. So.
Right. It's those tiny details that make all the difference. It's wild.
Yeah, it really is. Is there any more in the live chat?
I saw this question from Christy. She says, I'm really struggling with the micro-plopping concept. I can't rationalize blotting out the product I just put in, especially when it's costly. How much product are we losing through plopping? I love this question because I am supposed to be your friendly local high school chemistry teacher. I have a degree in chemistry, so I can actually explain to you how you are not removing product from your hair. So yes, there is some product dissolved in the water. However, 9 times out of 10, these stylers that we're using, especially the costly ones, are going to have ingredients that actually magnetically adhere to your hair. Your hair has a positive charge. The product has a negative charge. It's gluing to your hair. So yes, there will be a small amount of product that gets blotted onto the towel, but 90 to 99% of that product is staying on your hair because of the chemistry behind this. So I am with you. I was concerned about that too until I started learning more in depth about the ingredients that we're actually using when we style our hair.
And is some of it absorbed too, you think? Like I would think a lot of the products are into our hair to where they won't necessarily come off. I guess it depends on the ingredients.
It depends on the ingredient. The majority of them are not designed to go underneath the hair cuticle. The majority of the ingredients in our products are meant to adhere to the hair cuticle, seal the hair cuticle, lay on the hair cuticle, and add structure to it. But some of the more powerful curl creams and really conditioning leave-in conditioners do have the ability to go in underneath that hair cuticle and hydrate the hair from the inside out, or moisturize the hair from the inside out, or condition the hair from the inside out. Pick your term there, but that general concept, yes.
Yeah. And I feel like for me, even if it is wasting a little bit, it's worth it because I don't want to take forever to diffuse. I like the benefits of micro-plopping in terms of saving me time and making my wash day last. If I don't micro-plop, I don't get as much hold because I usually go in with a little bit more gel after. That key step of layering some extra gel really increases my hold. So for me, it's like, it's saving me time throughout my entire week. It makes a big difference. So it would be worth it for me to even lose a little bit of product just for that convenience of it.
Absolutely. And like we said, you're not losing that much product. You're removing a ton of water from your hair, which is going to allow your hair to dry in its natural curl pattern better. Yep. If you're finding that you're not getting enough hold after you micro-plop, that's telling me that A, you either didn't scrunch your hair enough and get the product thoroughly penetrated through each of your curl clumps, or 2, you didn't use enough product in the first place because it was a costly product and you're trying to be frugal. So you used less than maybe you actually needed to try and stretch that product a little bit. But I don't think it's the micro-plopping that would be causing that. It's either the application technique or the amount that you're using.
Yep. So there's a pre-submitted question I thought was good. Jen asked, is wet frizz always going to happen on thin, medium porosity hair? So I actually have a hair type that pretty much always has wet frizz. The best thing that I can do is really brush style and smooth that out when I'm styling. If I'm still seeing wet frizz after I've styled, then that gel just didn't give me enough hold. But if I have a good gel and I've done all my best styling practices, I've used my strong hold method, it will tame the wet frizz. I don't really worry about the wet frizz that I see when I'm shampooing and conditioning. Like that's always going to be there, especially with coarser textured hair. It's just inevitable. You're always going to see some of that unless if you really like smooth it down, force the hairs to lay nicely together and lock that in with a strong hold gel. That's the only way you're really going to tame it. But if you're still seeing it after you've done all of those things, then it could be your gel not having enough hold. I don't know if you have any experience with wet frizz too.
I absolutely do, but my experience is so different because of my type of curl pattern. Your curls are much tighter and your hair texture is much coarser. For me, if I get perfect frizz-free, wet frizz-free, wet hair, my hair turns out terrible. It looks elongated, stretched out. My curls don't clump properly. It's the weirdest thing. If I see a small to moderate amount of wet frizz on the wash day, I get results that look curlier and more natural. So I don't think the goal should be 0, 0, 0 wet frizz.
Yep.
Actually, run this wavy curly hair experiment on yourself. Do a wash day where you painstakingly remove every last strand of wet frizz from your hair. See the result, document the result, tell yourself how you liked it. And then do a wash day where you're not as meticulous. Your application is still good. You're using the right products for your hair. You have a good haircut for your hair. You're diffusing your hair the same. Keep all the variables the same, but allow there to be a little bit more wet frizz and see if that was the end of the world or if it actually made your hair look better. Because that was my experience.
Yeah, I mean, it gives volume. We don't have to tame every bit of frizz for sure. And I bet it's like the weight, like you said, if you're fully clumping everything, the bigger the clumps, the more weighed down it's going to be. I try and have more separation. And that was the other thing I was going to mention is sometimes people don't like the frizz, wet frizz when it ends up still showing up when it's dry. And they also have big clumps where it's kind of stuck. Like if you lift up the clumps, they're all webbed together. That's usually a styling issue. Like you're over clumping, you're not separating it with your brush. There's something else that we can fix. So I always say if the frizz is paired with another problem, then it's something we could fix. If your wash day results turn out great, you just have some frizz, that's normal.
We're not going to worry about that.
No.
We did have another pre-submitted question from Susan. It says to me that they have seen me, Swavy Curly Courtney, in a lot of the ads for Ecoslay, but she's found that it doesn't give a lot of volume to thin, low porosity hair. She's not sure if Ecoslay is worth the extra money. She uses a minimal amount of the orange marmalade and jello shot. Here are my thoughts. I have found that the orange marmalade and the jello shot are better for coarser hair types that are under conditioned. If you are really struggling to get your hair thoroughly conditioned, those are great products. In fact, I watched the Ecoslay orange marmalade heal my sister's damaged hair. She just kept repurchasing that same product over and over, and oh my lands, her hair became majestic and magical. For me personally, the orange marmalade is too conditioning to lean on as my only styler ever. My personal favorite products from Ecoslay are their, oh my goodness, I'm going to completely forget. They have a cleanser that is meant for low porosity hair. I prefer that one. I prefer their rice pudding for my conditioning because it has a lot of kind of proteiny type qualities to it, and products that are more proteiny tend to be less conditioning. And when I'm saying proteiny, I mean contain some protein. And then my favorite styler from Ecoslay is their lemon drop styling foam. If you want grit, that's it. That is the grittiest product I have ever tried.
I need to try.
So do you absolutely have to purchase Ecoslay products because you saw my face on their ad one time? Absolutely not. But they are really high quality products. I do think it's a really nice brand. But if there are products that are more comfortable in your price range, then by all means, go for that. You don't have to marry yourself to Ecoslay, but they are really great and I do enjoy them.
Yeah. I was also going to add, other than your products, it's really your styling and your diffusing that impact your volume the most. I mean, aside from having grit in your stylers, that helps with volume and alleviating the moisture, not having so much of that weight from moisture. It's really your styling techniques and your diffusing where a lot of that volume comes in. So not over clumping the hair, really using your diffuser to lift the hair and setting it up. Because we could do all the volume practices in the world, but if you air dry and it elongates, it's probably going to flatten out. So you really need to set it with the diffuser.
Yep.
So when my clients want volume, I usually look at the techniques and then also, of course, making sure that they're not weighing it down. Like you said, the products could just be too conditioning. For her hair type. I tried their orange marmalade years ago and it did not do well at all in my higher porosity hair. It frizzed within a couple hours, but it was also really humid and my hair was way more damaged then. So I need to try it again because a lot of my clients like it and viewers, they ask me about it all the time. I just need to revisit it.
This question from Laura looked really, really interesting, and I thought you might have some really good insight on that.
Is there a way to get strong, hold, and wavy dry hair without losing all the softness? I like the crunchy texturized feel. It just feels like too much dryness. So I usually layer a leave-in underneath of those types of gels. So we talked about the Curlsmith one. I always use a leave-in underneath of that because if I don't, it just makes my hair too dry the next day. Wash day is usually fine, but my hair can't tolerate just using it by itself. So I just use their fragrance-free leave-in, then the Stronghold gel on top. That combo works really well. But sometimes it's not always dry the next day. Sometimes it's just, I'm not feeling the slip that I'm used to. Sometimes it is just that texture. It's not really dryness. So it's hard to kind of determine what the difference is when they feel kind of the same. I know she mentioned it feels like too much dryness. That's probably just the grit that you're feeling versus the dryness.
Absolutely. I 100% agree with that. What do you think about this question? I have some thoughts. I have a game plan for this.
Without weighing it down. For damaged hair, I always am a huge fan of bond builders because they're not going to weigh your hair down. Any type of bond builder or a protein treatment, you don't necessarily need deep conditioners, especially if your hair gets weighed down. You can strengthen it in other ways, like through those bond building treatments, which can be tolerated by all hair types, even if your hair is more coarse. And then the protein, something that's more protein rich and not so much conditioning, so your hair doesn't get weighed down.
There are several ways that I like to attack this issue. One, bond builders, like you said, K18 does cost an arm and a leg. They do request your firstborn child in order to purchase the product.
Which is why I haven't tried it. I need to just bite the bullet.
It honestly works. It is absolutely incredible. I personally found that Olaplex number 3 did weird things to my hair, but really? The K18 didn't. There's also the Curlsmith Bond Curl Rehab Salve, and now there's a lot of bond repair products from the drugstore. I haven't personally dipped my toe as much into those because I'm kind of addicted to K18. It's terrible. Another way to really attack this issue that was extremely helpful to me when my hair was very, very damaged 7 years ago, I would use a wildly clarifying shampoo. Preface, I do live in an area with very, very hard water. So using a chelating shampoo or a shampoo that is very heavy in sulfates is kind of necessary because of how hard our water is here. But I would clarify with a very clarifying shampoo twice. A good option right now at the drugstore is the Pantene Volume Shampoo. It's excellent if you want to go a little bit higher end and get the benefits of chelating. Weed Add Waterworks is amazing. Wash your hair twice with that and then go in with a protein-free deep conditioning treatment. My personal favorite is the Jessie Curl Deep Conditioning Treatment. It's wild. It's wildly conditioning without being heavy. You let that sit on your hair for 30 minutes or so. I like to put on a plastic shower cap and wrap my head up in a terry cloth towel to really trap in the heat. So basically I'll wash my hair twice, get the deep conditioner in my hair, brush it through so that it's really evenly distributed, plastic shower cap, towel, go sit on the couch and watch an episode of my favorite TV show. And then I will go back and rinse that out completely. No, you don't have to rinse your hair with cold water. Cold water sealing the hair cuticle is a myth.
That's a myth.
Then I would let my hair air dry with zero product in it. You're basically wasting a wash day in the sense that you're not going to style your waves and curls. But what this did is it allowed my hair to breathe in a very odd, weird sense. Now, I do have a fine, wavy hair texture. I don't have a lot of curls. I could get away with this and just, maybe pull it up in a very loose bun. But what this did is it really allowed me to feel how the products performed in my hair. And that's why I wound up landing on the Jessie Curl Deep Conditioning Treatment, because it made my hair feel so much better every single time I used it. You can do that once a week to once every 2 weeks. If you do it once a week, be very careful. You might over condition your hair, just saying. But that is one of the easiest ways to help nourish damaged hair without weighing it down. The next time you go to wash and style your hair, you do your wavy curl, words are hard. doing your normal wavy curly hair wash day routine, your regular one with your low poo and your rinse out conditioner, you're going to be amazed at how much better your hair is after one of those clarify and deep condition sessions.
Love that advice. This next question is about differences in curl patterns. So they said they have similar hair type to me, but the back is straight. You can't create a pattern that doesn't exist, but can you fix it? Sometimes there's a little bit that you can do, but I would be curious to see what your styling routine is like. And are you stretching it out without realizing it? Or are you not really targeting the back? I've done a video on how to style the back that I recommend checking out, but you would basically section off your hair, which I know sectioning can be tough, but if you want to just target the back, you have to really be able to get in there. Make sure when you are scrunching, you're actually getting up there. I know it's tough because it feels awkward, but just lean really far to the side and really get up there and scrunch. Get a little bit flexible and scrunch. If you're just styling upside down, it's really difficult to get the back. And that's why you probably have seen Courtney kind of swing over to the side. That's really the only way you can really get in there. Because if you're only upside down, you're not even touching the back. You're just kind of scrunching the front. If you style upright like me, the sectioning can be helpful because then you can really get in there at the root area. And then also when you're diffusing, make sure that you are not missing the back. This is another thing that I always see when I watch my clients style is sometimes they don't realize that the back area is not even getting touched because we're so focused on the front. And sometimes I'll tell them like lean pretty far to the side and make sure your diffuser bowl is actually getting in there, like target it on its own separately instead of just letting it kind of get pulled to the front and captured because then it's kind of stretching out. Like get in there with your diffuser and go up in the back. Sometimes I hold it by the nose and kind of go in and like that. I wish I had it to demonstrate, but just targeting that area with styling and diffusing.
Absolutely. 10 out of 10. Agree.
Awesome. Take that down. Any other good ones you see for the live chat, or I can pull from our pre-submitted?
I found this one from Susan. If I'm trying to grow my hair, do I really need a trim every 3 months or whatever? Trims always end up so short. I am sorry that you are having that issue. It sounds like there's a communication issue between you and your stylist, if that is happening. Now that I'm getting to cut real humans' hair and no longer only practicing on a mannequin, I see why hairstylists take more. If the person says, I want to grow my hair out, I want my hair healthy, we can see exactly where that line of damage is. And it's always higher than the person is willing to cut off. Currently, my policy is to take less than what actually needs to be taken for the sake of the client's emotional health. They are sad when more hair is cut off than needs to be. But sometimes biting the bullet and going ahead and lopping off more than you're comfortable with does get you to a point where you are really well reset and set up for that hair to grow out well. Now, if you are getting a trim every 3 months and getting way more lopped off than you want to every single time, there might be something going on that is causing the damage to come that high up in your hair. Are you using hair ties that are really roughing up your hair cuticle? Or are you using those lovely satin or silk scrunchies, Invisibobbles? Are you sleeping on a cotton pillowcase? Ironically, that can really rough up the hair cuticle and cause damage higher up on the hair strand than you would like. Are you brushing really aggressively? That can cause damage higher up in the hair. The problem is that once the hair is damaged at a particular point, that damage is only going to travel up the hair shaft. Why? Because the hair is like a rope. Once the rope starts to unravel, it only unravels going up. And the speed at which your hair breaks and the damage creeps up your hair strand is always faster than the speed at which it is growing out of your head. That's why you feel like you're constantly having to chase these split ends and this damage up your hair. It's going up your hair faster than it's growing out. The only way to get ahead of it is to cut it off above where the damage is. I know trying to grow your hair out is a beast. I am currently doing it. I chopped my hair off to here and bleached it really, really a lot. And then spent 2 years growing out that bleach, and my hair wouldn't grow because I was getting trims every month because my ends were splitting and dry because I got my hair bleached. Was I doing all of the hair oiling and the bond repair? Yes. Yes, I was. I know all of the tips and tricks. Bleach is just a booger, okay? Kudos to the people who can have crazy long hair and bleach. Y'all do a lot more work than I was willing to do. I was trying, but I wasn't trying as hard as I've seen some people try. Anyway, my hair is finally starting to grow out, and I am finding now I am finally able to go slightly longer in between those cuts because my ends aren't splitting. But as soon as I see those splits, I call. Like the instant I see one split in my hair, I'm like, hey, I'm getting a haircut, trim now, because I don't want to be chasing that damage up my hair. Gina, thoughts? I rambled for a long time there. Sorry.
No, those all great tips. I did a whole lesson in my group coaching program on length retention because everyone was asking, why isn't my hair growing? Well, we got to look at everything you're doing and how you're taking care of it. Sometimes we don't even realize, especially if we wear our hair up a lot. Like if we tend to neglect our curls and we put them up, that's fine, but just make sure you're doing it properly. But I just wanted to share. So I had highlights years ago and I spent so long growing them out because I didn't want to get them cut off. And they were such a pain and made my life so much harder that I wish I would have just cut them off sooner. Even though I had just a tiny bit left, those ends would frizz and not hold no matter what I did. Like I could pack on the hairspray and the gel and they would frizz up the second I step out into my extreme humidity. And so I just wish, I had done that sooner, like you said, because then it would be so much easier. It's so much easier to manage without them. Although they're so pretty, some people can get away with them, but too much maintenance for me personally.
Also, fun side note, did you know that hair grows faster in the summer? So if you've got some serious hair growth goals and you're also chasing the damage, the best time of year to just go ahead and bite the bullet and whack all of that damage off is in the spring, right before summer starts, because once the days get longer and the weather gets warmer, naturally, because we're humans and we're mammals, we have cyclical hair growth and our hair cycle grows faster in the summer. So
that's so fascinating. I heard recently that we shed more in the fall, which doesn't make sense to me scientifically. Like,
no, we didn't need that. Yeah. But you know why that is, Gina? Have you heard of telogen effluvium? Which is stress-induced hair loss.
Yep.
That stressful event occurs, and then 3 to 4 months later is when the hair shed happens.
Yep.
It's the hottest in the spring and summer. 3 or 4 months later, fall hits. Our body hit the heat and our body goes, oh, we're too hot. Let's shed hair. But it takes 3 to 4 months for our bodies to hit that.
I didn't even think about the heat. That makes sense. I mean, even our dogs shed more right before summer. So
yeah,
that makes sense.
The dog's hair growth cycle is faster than the humans.
Yeah. Danielle asked, hard water here. What about an apple cider vinegar rinse? I usually don't recommend these because I don't find them as effective as even a cheap drugstore chelating shampoo. Like you can get a Swavy clarifying shampoo for $3 and it will do just as well if you're doing the apple cider vinegar for that purpose. If you just like the apple cider vinegar, then keep doing it. But I don't find it quite as effective as a shampoo, but I'm curious what you think, Courtney, since you have harder water than me.
I definitely got into a phase where I was doing apple cider vinegar rinses. I was making my own flaxseed gel. I was making my own apple cider vinegar rinses. I've got real enthralled with my kitchen and my hair care. Here is the issue. Doing the science, doing the chemistries. Apple cider vinegar is acidic. We all know this. You're like, oh, it's fine. I'll dilute it 3 to 1. Great. Are you measuring the pH of that with a pH strip at home? Probably not. If that pH is off, even by a little bit, you are going to damage the salt bonds in your hair. Is it probably going to be fine? Probably. But there is a decent chance that you can cause damage to your hair because you're not scientifically meticulously checking the pH of it. So is the risk worth the benefit of removing hard water just using apple cider vinegar? I don't think so. I don't personally recommend doing apple cider vinegar rinses anymore. I'm with Gina. Go to the drugstore, get a cheapy clarifying chelating shampoo and call it good. Because at least somebody somewhere down the line quality checked that product. Or at least there's a better chance that they quality checked it than you did with your apple cider vinegar rinse.
The other thing is, if it's really acidic, isn't it acting more like a conditioner? Don't we need the opposite of that high pH to actually be able to cleanse the hair? Because shampoos are more on the opposite side.
Absolutely. I see what you're saying. The theory is that it's that acidity that breaks the bond of the hard water on your hair and breaks it loose and lets it rinse down the drain. But again, I'm not sure how effective it is at actually removing the calcium and magnesium deposits from your hair.
Yeah. Yeah. Because conditioner is also acidic to lower our cuticle. So it almost seems like apple cider vinegar is going to make your hair soft. It's going to lower your cuticle, but is it enough to break through the minerals?
Which is why there was a fad going around. I think this was like 10, 12 years ago. People were using baking soda to wash their hair, really high pH, and then they were conditioning it with apple cider vinegar, and that's all they were doing.
All that just sounds like too much work than pulling a shampoo from your shower, you know? Like,
well, they were trying to remove all the chemicals without realizing that both baking soda and apple cider vinegar are inherently chemicals.
Yep.
This is an interesting question from Danielle. What about methods? I've tried log and gel, then mousse and reverse. I scrunch and micro-plop. If I use a diffuser and let it dry for 5 minutes. What are your thoughts on all the fun application methods out there? Bowl method, log.
I'm sure my viewers and my clients probably know what I'm going to say, but I just recommend just using a gel, unless if you absolutely need a leave-in. All that stuff under your gel is impacting your hold. And is also going to potentially make it not last as long. So if you're struggling with it not lasting, cut it back to just the gel. I think if you use an oil under a gel, that's just a barrier and it's going to prevent the gel from really adhering to your hair. Sometimes there's oils in our gel and that's totally fine, but they're formulated to be able to work together with the polymers in your gel. But I just feel like that would be creating a barrier and it wouldn't stick. There was a time where I tried, I think it was the Eva NYC leave-in or their heat protectant, and had a lot of oils in it. I could feel the oils on my hair and my gel just would not adhere. I didn't get any hold. It really impacted my hold. So that kind of is what led me to that of I need to make sure that there's basically nothing on under my hair if I want the maximum amount of hold. I think she was asking though also about her hair drying too fast. And I saw another comment where she said her hair is higher porosity, which is very
gotcha. Okay. If her hair is higher porosity, then I think actually having an oil under the gel could be helpful in the sense that it's going to keep that super high porosity hair from just eating gel for breakfast, lunch, and dinner. When my hair was higher porosity, the amounts of product I had to use were insane. They were ridiculous. So it's possible that that could be helpful for a season until her hair porosity gets back under control. But I personally just love playing around with different techniques for the sake of playing around with different techniques. But my personal favorite, like if I really need to lock in and get a good wash day, I do have to layer more products than just a gel. Fine, wavy, low porosity hair problems. I need to pile on some product at a little bit. So what I do is I do shampoo, rinse out conditioner, usually a gel, and then I either do a foam or a mousse on top and sometimes a hairspray. And that really helps lock in the curls. But I think it's just fun if you kind of play with it and really document the result and dial in what's working for you and what's not.
Yes. That reminds me of another pre-submitted question. They said that they had higher porosity hair and they also wanted strong hold and that their hair doesn't get weighed down. I recommend the Curlsmith in-shower style fixer or something like that that gives hard hold, but also has a lot of oils because there are oils in gels. So maybe someone with higher porosity hair, if they want to maximize hold and not do the layering technique, maybe your gel could just have some oils. That's a gel that always comes to mind because there are a lot of oils in it. It's too heavy for my hair type. I get a very wet look that I can't get out. And I think it's because all of those oils and the strong hold. But this person had said that they basically don't care about it weighing down their hair. They have very thick hair, but it also needs a lot of moisture and they want hold. Because the more moisture usually in products, the less hold you get. But that one is very well balanced and it's very moisturizing, very strong hold. So that one came to mind for that person. And maybe this one as well that was asking that.
That is a really good point. I love that. What is your number one tip for helping hair grow faster?
Take care of your body from the inside. That's probably what I would say. Making sure that you have all your vitamins on check, eat lots of protein.
It does actually help a ton. Yeah. That is the number one tip. I was like thinking protect the hair at all costs, but no, I completely forgot about eating enough protein. Hair is made up of keratin, which is protein. And if you are in a protein deficiency, then there's a pretty good chance that your body's not going to have the building blocks or the excess material to waste on growing hair. Your body is really going to try and keep you alive. And if you're lacking something, it's going to take that thing. Like if you only eat a little protein, it's going to take that and keep your muscles going. But if there's an excess of protein, they're like, oh, cool, we have extra. We can now grow lots of long, luscious hair. That really does help. I personally found that when I started training for a half marathon and I started running a lot, I was running every day. I was getting the blood pumping. Dude, my hair grew like an absolute weed.
That's so interesting.
Yeah. So blood flow is also extremely helpful, which is why you have all of those scalp massage machines and like red light therapy and scalp stimulating oils. It's all just increasing the blood flow. Well, guess what? If you exercise, not only are you getting the benefits of the exercise, which are good for your health, but also you're getting the blood flow, which is going to help your hair grow.
Yes. She also mentioned she got a big cut. So props to her for getting 6 inches off. You sped up the process.
Good job, Sarah.
This one asks suggestions for cowlicks right in the front. So I usually recommend styling with some more detailed techniques right there. I'm a big fan of finger coiling because I have some problem areas, mainly right here. I've got a lot of short hairs and it just helps to really target them. It's not always beneficial for looser waves and curls, especially if you don't have as much of a spiral, it might be a waste of time. But if your hair is a little bit tighter, that technique can really help you direct the hair where you want it to go, or use your brush to kind of force it in the other direction. But the key with cowlicks is diffusing because you want to set the hair that way. The hair is going to split again, while you're styling. So if you diffuse it, you set it in place, and that's really key. So that would be putting the prongs right in that spot and kind of pushing it in the other direction. So I put my diffuser right here because mine's in the back. My part wants to go all the way down the back of my head. So I have to not only style, but when I get done styling, I have to go like this and cover it up and then put my diffuser prongs right there and lift. And that helps. Sometimes I even have to hairspray it like that. It's always going to fall. It's really normal. Sometimes it just takes some refreshing to bring it back together, but I don't know if you experienced that. I don't have them in the front. Mine's more in the back.
I have a giant cowlick in the back. And what I like to do is diffuse my hair to that roughly 90% dry mark. So there is still a tiny bit of dampness in my hair. And then I'll get like a claw clip and I will clip my cowlick shut. And then I'll let it finish air drying and let those hydrogen bonds in my hair finish setting fully with the hair set, clipped shut over my cowlick. And then once my hair is 100% dry, I'll take that out. And guess what? The hydrogen bonds are set. The hair is dry. My cowlick is closed. So if you're having that in the front, I would get those little, I hate them personally, but my friend Allison Lupo absolutely loves them. Real life curly girl. They're these little metal alligator clips, and she like strategically puts them in her hair. Those may work better for the front than like a little plastic claw clip, but just clip that cowlick shut or clip the hair in a way where it's held where you want it to, and then either diffuse it or stop diffusing slightly before your hair's done and then let it air dry with those clips in, just depending on your preference.
Yeah. Great questions, y'all.
Extremely. Y'all are making me think on a Friday. How mean. Yeah. I have to use my brain.
Did you want to pull? I see one about porosity we could chat about.
Go ahead and throw it in.
So Dana asked, does high porosity mean it dries faster? I get confused. So I always say to squeeze out the water and then look at how fast your hair dries. So towel dry your clean hair. See how quickly it dries with nothing in it. So get out of the shower after conditioning, squeeze it out, and then look at it. Because if your hair is sopping wet with water, even with high porosity, it's going to take longer to dry because it's waterlogged. So you have to get that water out and then watch how quickly it dries. I think high porosity does dry faster. That's what I've seen from my research, but I'm curious if you have another take because it seems to be a little all over the place. Sometimes you hear different things.
There's another giant piece of this puzzle that I didn't realize existed until just a couple of years ago. How fine or coarse your hair is wildly impacts how fast your hair dries, even more than the porosity of your hair. Let me see if I have it. Oh my gosh, I do. Okay. I have this really good infographic that is very helpful. Let me see if I can share my screen. Here we go. This is a picture of hair. And here you can see that we have a fine hair, a medium hair, and a coarse hair, all different diameters. The biggest, most significant difference between fine hair and coarse hair is the numbers of layer of hair cuticle. So coarse hair is strong hair. It is more resistant to highlights. It's more resistant to taking color. If you color your hair to cover your grays, it's more resistant to heat styling. You can really nicely cook some coarse hair, and it's not going to get heat damaged nearly as fast as fine hair. Fine hair takes highlights really quickly. It gets color really quickly, and it gets really damaged very quickly. So knowing that about the coarseness and the cuticle, if you have high porosity, fine hair, it's going to dry lightning fast. If you have low porosity, fine hair, and medium porosity, medium hair, that fine hair is not how do I want to say this? I want to make it make more sense. Maybe I need to make a bigger, wider distinction. So even if you have medium porosity coarse hair and low porosity fine hair, that low porosity fine hair is still going to dry faster than the higher porosity coarse hair because there are simply less layers of hair cuticle. So looking at your porosity and trying to dictate how fast your hair is drying, that's going to be really tricky because even if there is no styling product on your hair, 9 times out of 10, there's going to be some amount of product buildup on your hair. So it's going to affect how fast your hair dries. It is really difficult to get 100% of product buildup off the hair. There's always going to be some interference changing how quickly or slowly your hair dries. Is it a particularly humid day? What if it's a really dry day? What if it's cold outside? What if it's hot outside? So trying to determine your hair's porosity based on how quickly it dries honestly just gets you to the point where you want to pull your hair out. And we don't want you doing that because we like you having your hair.
There's also density. So if your hair is very thick, it's going to take longer to dry. If it's very thin, it's going to dry quickly. So there's just so many variables, and it's really about putting them all together, which is really difficult to just explain, especially when we're doing content and things, because it's really that combination of everything to where we really need that to be able to recommend the right techniques and products. So that's why coming in or like through the curl coaching, we put all those things together for you to actually give you good recommendations. Because a lot of times if people just tell me, oh, I have high porosity, I might not be able to give you the best recommendation because I need to know what's your density, what's your thickness. So
Gina, the reason I'm like really passionate about this silly little thing, it's porosity. It's not that big a deal. I thought I had high porosity hair for the longest time because of how quickly my hair dried, how it absorbed product. I thought I had very high porosity hair. It wasn't until I had a hair analysis done where they scientifically look at your hair under a microscope that I found out that I had low porosity hair from root to tip, which is very unusual. I just had fine hair, which made it behave like the classical indication of high porosity hair, but it wasn't. And when I found out that I had low porosity hair and I started treating it like low porosity hair, oh my goodness, my curls got so much better. But
yeah, I was going to recommend a hair analysis. Strand Print is my favorite. I think I have a code for them in my description if anyone wants it.
The company that did mine is no longer in business, so I will have to check out Strand Print.
Yes, they're great.
I thought that this was a really great question. What are your thoughts on this, Gina?
Leave-in conditioner for low porosity, low density. The Inner Sweet Spirit leave-in comes to mind because it's a water-based spray. Also the AG milk. I can't remember the full name. It's a milk conditioning, cocoa nut milk something, but it's a very watery leave-in conditioner, something like that. That's very light. Another one is the new Living Proof leave-in. I've actually been loving that one because it's not only a leave-in, but it's also a heat protectant. And so a lot of my clients that get weighed down very easily have really enjoyed that one because it doesn't add conditioning, but it still has a little bit of a conditioning effect without the weight. It's hard to explain. It's a great one if you haven't already tried it.
I am here with the drugstore recommendations. I have allocated lemongrass leave-in is really good. That one's getting harder and harder to find. Also, the Not Your Mother's Curl Talk spray leave-in. It's very concentrated. So use 1 to 2 sprays if you've got low density hair. I really mean it. 1, 2, no more for you.
That one I was going to mention as well. It's a good one.
But it also has some heat protectant in it. And then one of my absolute favorites, and it's kind of a hidden gem, I don't see a lot of people talking about it, is the Giovanni leave-in reconstructive hair treatment. It's the spray Giovanni leave-in treatment. I use that on my daughter, who is only 3 years old and has the finest of fine baby hair, and literally everything looks greasy in her hair. It's amazing for her hair. Really, really good one. But you might not need a leave-in conditioner. Just saying, Sharon. You try skipping it and see what happens.
Try a good stronghold gel that's not too drying. You probably do fine without it. Now I can't find her question to pull it down, but I think we are at the hour now, which just goes so fast. Oh, good one.
On this one last question, Danielle very sweetly said, I'm embarrassed to sign up for coaching because I don't know what you're doing. Oh my goodness. I need to learn to read. I need to go back to first grade. Gina, please read it.
You're good. She's basically worried because she has no idea what she's doing. Do not be worried at all. That is what this is for. And it's so much easier to just have everything kind of handed to you in coaching because you don't have to do all that research on your own. And it's not really personalized when you're doing all of that research on your own and watching content. It can be so overwhelming. And so that's what we're really here for, is to help distill things down and tell you exactly what you need based on your hair type and just have it handed to you so you don't have to do all that guesswork. So don't worry about not knowing what you're doing. It's a safe space. Mine is in a private community, so we're all very helpful. Everyone's very encouraging. There's even options to work just with me through my group coaching program. So one thing that we do is I get to watch my client's style, which has been really helpful. So they can just send me a private video and I can give them feedback. Don't ever be embarrassed of the things because you don't know what you don't know. And that's what I'm here to do, is just help you see some alternative things you can try. And everyone's always really supportive and encouraging in the group. So we're all at different points. I have people that have just started embracing their curls and waves. And then I have people who just enjoy curly hair, and that's why they're in the group. So everyone helps each other. So I think some of them were already in the comments saying how nice it is and to not worry at all. So you're not
absolutely alone. I promise Gina and I do not bite. I offer the private seclusion of private curl coaching sessions. Gina, if you want to go to her private group and get more insight from more people, you can absolutely do that. You don't know what you don't know. We literally love this. Gina and I eat, breathe, sleep curls and waves. We have many, many years experience. We have talked to tons of people. We are just itching and dying to help you out, no matter your skill level, no matter your knowledge level. Clearly, we like talking and sharing information. So we would love the opportunity to get to help you out if you so choose. You don't have to, but we are absolutely here for you if you want.
Yes, I love a beginner because I'm like, oh, we get to start fresh. What have you used? You know, a lot of times they haven't tried a lot of products. I love it. And I get to see the dramatic transformation, you know, once they really get going with their curls. So.
Well, guys, y'all really showed up with some great questions. We did our absolute best to get to every single one of them, but goodness, y'all just had us really going. And like Gina said, we are right here at the hour. Very grateful for this opportunity to get to hang out with you. Gina, thank you for organizing this. Gina was the brains behind this. It was great.
We'll have to definitely do more of these. It's been a year since we did our last one, which is crazy. It really flies by. But if anyone watching the replay, I will put links to the products we talked about in the description, as well as links to where you can find us. If you all want to work with us, if you want to work with us through private coaching or through my group program, there will be links below for all of that. And make sure you're subscribed to Courtney if you're not already.
Yes. If y'all are watching on my channel, please go subscribe to Gina. She is an absolute treasure. And if anybody wants to let me cut their hair, I am in Abilene, Texas. Like I said, I told you I was out in the middle of nowhere. I'm very far from everything. But if you just so happen to be in Abilene or driving through, please come see me.
Love it. Thanks so much for hanging out with us. And we will talk to you all soon.
Bye.
Bye, y'all.